December 27th. It's a Monday. Welcome to Let There Be Talk. What's happening, everybody? Hope you had a fantastic Christmas. If you do that thing, if you celebrate Christmas. If not, hope you had a fantastic weekend. Pouring rain here all weekend in Los Angeles, and we need it, of course, but we don't need it all in 5 days. Let's spread it apart. Come on, nature. Ease up on the dark days. Reminded me, no way could I probably live in Portland. 5 days of dark rain, and I'm like, what? Anyway, so, welcome aboard, people. This is brought to you by my podcast network, cactusradionetwork.com. Go there for all of your podcast needs. Absolutely free. Dark Fonzie, when it happens. At Home with Byron Katie every Tuesday. The Grail and Let There Be Talk. Today, another rock and roll Hall of Famer is on the show. I'm talking about the one and only John Lodge of the Moody Blues. I'll tell you what, this guy, holy smokes. The Moody Blues and John Lodge have wrote some of the biggest radio songs there are. I mean, you could hear the Moody Blues on the radio all day, every day. It's unreal how much they get played. Absolutely incredible. And he wrote some of the monster tunes. Like, you know that one, I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. Unbelievable. Ride My Seesaw. And then, of course, you know, they've got like 10 damn hits. Nights in White Satin. Just incredible. Their sound, their vibe, just a smoking band. It's funny, like when I was young, I would hear all these songs and I had no idea that it was the Moody Blues. I was just kind of like, oh, this is great. And for some reason, I didn't put the name with the band, the Moody Blues. And then later as an adult, I realized what a genius band name. They play blues, but they play Moody Blues, you know? They get moody. Great guest today. I only have him for like 25 minutes. This was very rare. I have never had this short of an interview, except for probably Yngwie in the past, when Yngwie was just driving around in his Ferraris and had no idea what show he was doing. I was interviewing Yngwie, trying to get his body of work. He thought I was calling him about his festival that his wife didn't tell me about at all. Just a train wreck of comedy. Early podcast days. I remember Yngwie just driving around in his Ferrari. Just, he's on the car phone. Oh, man. He's like, are we going to talk about the festivals? I'm like, what festivals? He's like, what the fuck am I doing here? Exactly what you want from Yngwie. But complete opposite with John Lodge. Absolute gentleman, 76 years old, you know? How many interviews has he done? Probably thousands. So he's like, yeah, all right, I want to do it. Promote all his new recordings. He's got a new record out, and he's constantly working right now. Writing tunes, recording, touring when COVID's not happening. And it was great to sit down and talk to him. Really, really cool dude. Since it is a short episode, I thought what I would do is break into my end of the year records of the year list, because it is that time of the year. Instead of doing it next week, I was like, well, I'll do it this week. And so I sat down and dug into that, and also a couple of movies and stuff. It was a weird year for music, because 2020 and 2021, all these great bands had made records over the last couple of years. And, you know, usually you put a record out, and then you put it out so you can go tour, and you have new songs in the set list, so you're not a fucking greatest hits machine or a robot. And then nobody could really tour, or they announce dates and then they're canceled. It's just the yo-yo. Omicron or whatever is here, and then whatever's next and next and next. It's just part of the part of life now. And it's definitely strange when you're an artist, especially a musician. You put so much work into records, and people don't really buy records anymore. So you do it, of course, to promote a tour, and you do it for yourself to be artistic. But, you know, these records go out, and then they just disappear. I said it last year with like Pearl Jam's record and all these great records that came out last year. And it seemed like people forgot about them a couple months later, or sometimes a month later. So more than ever, I think these lists are kind of very valuable now. They're not just like, this is what I think. I don't care about your list. These are the records. That's not what it's about. It's just basically, I think and believe in keeping these records alive and spreading the word. So 2021, I looked it up. There wasn't really a lot of records out across the board. I mean, between R&B, hip hop, rock, country, soul, it was not a lot of records, but there were some good and really good records. Now, coming in at, I'm giving you my top 10, but I got a little bonus one here because I was trying to fit it in, and I was going in and out of top 10, whenever you start these. And also, I'm sure I forgot something. Every year I post it out, and then people will be like, what? No such and such? And I'm like, fuck. Now that band's mad at me, or maybe they don't even fucking know, but, Anyway, so this was put together today, all day. I sat down and just kind of looked back at what I was listening to, mostly throughout the year. Now, bonus one here, which would be number 11, which is kind of cheating because it is top 10. But number 11, or what would they call that, honorable mention, would be Neil Francis, In Plain Sight. Great, great record. Fantastic artist. Had him on a couple years ago. I loved his last record. Fell in love with this guy's sound and his whole outlook on music, and he's starting to get some great traction. I'm seeing him sell places out, which is fantastic, and that's always cool, when you see an act early on and you hope that people start to get it. And that's the greatest thing I think that could happen to a person as an artist, to be grinding and playing music that's not geared around radio or hits or whatever, but geared around what you love. And that's what Neil Francis does. So check it out, In Plain Sight. Number 10, and it was a great, great couple of interviews I had on with the Melvins. Number 10 is Melvins, Working with God. And still looking back on just a great, great talk with Buzz and just the Melvins. They're fucking legends, man. These guys have been around 100 years, still play music, still sell out everywhere that they're playing, sell merch, vinyl, making a great living. During the pandemic, they had the Melvins TV show, which was fantastic. These guys are just soldiers and lifers. Number 9. Great record. Couldn't get him on the show. I couldn't believe it. I was shouting out this guy's last couple records, Leon Bridges, Gold Digger's Sound. I dig this record, and I dig Leon Bridges. I found out about him through the independent, 88, the radio station I listen to. If you don't have that app, I highly recommend you get this app for one of the greatest radio stations I've ever heard, keeping up that old college radio vibe. You can get it free, absolutely, and then just donate like once a year to keep them alive. The radio station is called, where the hell, here it is, 88.5, and it is the Independent. I believe that's what it's called. I don't know. 88.5 FM. You can get the app. And I learned about a lot of bands on that radio station over the last few years, including, what was that? Oh, God, the great one. The War and Treaty. Man, brain was working. Brain was working for a minute. Anyway, so Leon Bridges, number 9. Number 8, the Australian Superstars, one of my favorite bands of the last 5 years, Tropical Fuckstorm with Deep State. This is their recent record that came out about 3 months ago, and I had Gareth on the podcast last week, I believe it was. And another great record from these guys. Took me a little while to unravel it in my brain. But like I said, if you want to know what the pandemic sounds like, you throw on Tropical Fuckstorm's Deep State. Amazing, amazing record. Number 7, Gojira with Fortitude. Man, I love this band. I came onto this band late. I came on in 2016 with Magma. And I couldn't even, I was saying their name wrong for years. I was like, Gorgira. I was just fucking dumb. But dove into it deep. And God, Fortitude, brand new record out by them, just smoking. I highly recommend get into this song, Newfound. Oh, man. Spinks, the chant, just the way, the place they took metal. Like every few years, like 5-10 years, a band would come along and just jolt metal, and that's what Gojira did. So if you have not got onto them yet, get onto it. And by the way, the record's only $6.99 on iTunes. Buy it, $6.99. Come on. Gojira coming in at number 7. Number 6, my old friends of 32 years, I believe, the Mother Hips, coming in with Glowing Lantern. And I will tell you, every Mother Hips record has at least 2 or 3 songs that blow my mind. Between Tim and Greg, these guys can write fucking songs. You know, late in their career, they wrote the masterpiece, Pacific Dust. I love when bands do that. Machine Head did that deep in their career with the Blackening record. When a band comes out with something way deep and it blows your mind, and that's what they did with Pacific Dust. And ever since then, they've been putting records out that continuously have songs that I could stack into their set list and lose my mind at a live concert. And the last one had Tim's masterpiece song, Clean Me Up. And this new record has Clay Mask, which is classic Tim and the Mother Hips sound right there. Clay Mask. And also What Happened to You. Just great, great songs on this. Another record that took a little bit for me to figure out. Number 5 is a band I never, ever give up on. And I have loved them since the day I saw them at the Viper Room on their EP. I'm talking about Kings of Leon. A lot of fans came on that big record and, Sex on Fire, and then they disappeared, but the true fans still rock to them. I love the record. I've said it a million times. After Sex on Fire record, the Come Around Sundown record, I think that record is unreal, and this record has a lot of that vibe. Kings of Leon's new record, When You See Yourself. And it is a really cool record, and I feel like it really didn't get much promotion, actually. I didn't even know it came out till a couple months ago when Kevin Christie reminded me, because I remember hearing the single, and I remember Kevin Christie working on the artwork for the record, for their merch or something, but I had no idea it came out, and I went back and dug into it, and holy shit, it's great. Time to Disguise and Golden Restless Age, great songs. The whole record's just got a vibe, and I think you guys will dig it. Number 4, another record that took me a while to figure out, which is great. I love these records. It happened to me all the way back with Octung Baby. Record comes out, I don't fucking get it, and then I keep pounding it, and then one day I'm in the right frame of mind, and boom, Mastodon, Hushed and Grim. Great record. And I'm going to get them back on the show again and talk about this record. This thing, it's geared around their manager that they lost. It's geared around the pandemic. It's got a lot of dense, dark songwriting, which I always love. The Crux is amazing, and The Beast. Check it out. Mastodon, Hushed and Grim. Number 3. This record came out of nowhere. Somebody recommended it to me, and it could have easily been number 1 for me, how much I listened to it. Absolutely loving this record. Man, Houndmouth. That's what they're called, Houndmouth. Houndmouth. Good For You is the record. And this thing has, of course, I know exactly where the flavors come from. It's got a lot of Dylan, but it has a lot of Wilco being there mixed in. And those are 2 of my favorites. But it's not blatant like, hey, this is what it is. I just understand where it's coming from. And I'll tell you what, this record smokes, man. Track Mackenzie's fantastic. Ohio, Good For You. I listened to this record nonstop the last month or so. So fantastic. Number 3. Number 2, this guy has been rocking me since, I guess, maybe 91 or 2. I'm not really quite sure. Jerry Cantrell. Brighton, his brand new solo record. And I had Jerry on a few months ago, and we discussed real in-depth about this record, how the songwriting happened, how it was recorded, and he's got a smoking record on his hands right here. And he is just a fantastic human. And anytime you hear Jerry Cantrell, you are not going to mistake him for anybody else. He has his own sound, which is almost impossible this long in the music world to come out and immediately have a sound. Look, you hear the Ramones, you know it. You hear AC/DC, you know it. You hear Zeppelin, you know it. You hear Cantrell or Alice in Chains, you know that is Jerry Cantrell. And Brighton is a fantastic record. Dig into it, man. Had to Know is a smoking tune. Now, number 1. Number 1 is, it's funny because it's from an old friend of mine, and I'm really, really blown away. Talk about, like I said, bands that put out records late in their careers that are just fucking masterpieces. It's so hard to do and so rare to do. First of all, you have to have the drive and the fire in you still to be a songwriter and to keep doing it after years and years and years. And Jacob Dylan with the Wallflowers dropped one of the most incredible records I've heard in years, Exit Wounds. And I'll tell you what, man, the lyrics, the songwriting, the singing, the sounds on this, and Butch Walker produced it. It's just a crushing record that stayed in my you can't say CD player or on your turntable. You can't say on your turntable. You can, but I don't say that anymore because I sold my records. But it stayed in my earbuds and in my car and in my house streaming for months and months on end. And I kept finding new favorite songs over and over and over. Maybe Your Heart's Not In It No More. What a fucking opening track. Roots and Wings. What a tune. Darling, Hold On. This record is smoking. Now, of course, it's there's a lot of records out there that came out, and a lot of records that I really like. I do want to give a shout out to some of the incredible box sets that came out over the year too. Finally, after all these years, that Springsteen No Nukes concert came out. I owned it for years on bootleg, but to have it all nice and mastered and mixed up is beautiful. And what a time in his career. This No Nukes concert kills. Also, the Kid A double. Finally, the Kid A Amnesia. You know, they put both the records together. That is just great to have. And those two are very, very cool to have in the collection. The movies. I didn't get to see a lot of movies this year, and I love going to movies. But I'll tell you, the best thing I've seen easily in years and years and years is, and of course everybody's been talking about it, is the Beatles doc, Get Back. And that thing could be the best rock doc of all time. To be able to just be in a bird's eye view or a fly on the wall, sort of say, of watching them supposedly when they're breaking up and they're end of the Beatles and you know, everything you ever heard, and then to watch these four geniuses in the room just create it's a fucking gift that keeps on giving. Anytime any artist feels stagnant or bummed, they should put on this documentary and watch magic happen. It'll inspire the hell out of you, no matter what you do. Your job, your relationships. It teaches you everything, man. How to manage fights, man. These guys, I was talking about it on stage. If people fought like the Beatles, we would be more civilized people, because you can't even tell when they're fighting. You know, it's just kind of like, I don't want to be the boss. I mean, well, you are the boss. You know, sometimes you just, you know, it's your song, so you say it goes this way. I just don't play it that way. You know, I'm me. You know, well, I know you, so I guess just be you. You know, and you're like, wait, are they fighting? There's no fucking screaming and yelling. We've gotten so much screaming and yelling over the last 4 or 5 years. It's insane. It is insane. Whether it be on Twitter or Facebook or face-to-face at a fucking mall, fighting over dumb shit. Just dumb shit. Anyway, that fucking Beatles doc. I do want to say thank you to everybody for the support of Cactus Radio Network. It's been a lot of work and some ups and downs, mostly ups. But I love all of you for tuning in every week. And I love your emails and your positive words when I have a guest on. Maybe you don't know and you're excited, like I had no idea about this. It's just it just feels good. So thank you everybody for your positive words, and have a great New Year's Eve. Stay healthy out there. And safe. Hope to see you guys out there in 2022. I got a lot of tour dates, DeanDelRey.com. I have some incredible merch that I put together. You can get the merch, DeanDelRey.com, and you can get all the bonus episodes on my Patreon, patreon.com/DeanDelRey, and the Zoom Fest. I hang out with people every week on Zoom. And I just dropped the bonus episode all about opening for Metallica. So candles are lit for Rock and Roll Hall of Famer John Lodge. All right, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer on today. Introduce yourself, my man.
Hey, John Lodge of the Moody Blues here.
Yeah, so good to see you, man. How are you?
Good, thank you. Back in England, and it's pouring with rain.
I'm in Los Angeles. It's about 80. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
It's funny. I always thought of the Moody Blues as like either a San Francisco band or an LA band because of that sound. But it's interesting that you guys were from Birmingham, the land of Black Sabbath, and such a dark, you know, weird steel industry, old gloomy city. And it's wild to think about where you guys are from, you know, and then to hear the sound of the band.
Yeah. Birmingham was the second motor city after Detroit. We made all the cars, Jaguar, Range Rover, all the motorbikes, Norton, Triumph, very heavy industry. But also we had fantastic, still do have, orchestra called the CBSO. And Birmingham was sort of a yin and yang, really, heavy metal and orchestra and it seemed to go through the people as I was growing up. It sort of generated the two things.
That's amazing, because it's to think about the definitely the difference between you guys and Sabbath. But it's a lot like when I think about like Def Leppard from Sheffield, just these kind of gloomy cities that create some great art.
Yeah, I think it's because dark so often during the day and pouring a rain.
yeah, get inside and just jam.
Yeah, you get inside and just jam. And I could count on my one hand how many open air gigs there would have been in the 60s. None, so we were always indoors and, working out with each other, trying to find what music worked for us, whether we were copying American music, because we were, everybody in England in the, I started when I was 15. So we were copying all American music, all American rock and roll. And it was only much later that we started on our path on our own.
When you were growing up, who was it for you that got you into music, and playing the bass? Was it Beatles or what was it?
No, pre-Beatles, because we all grew up together. They were lighting their fire in Liverpool, and we were lighting a fire in Birmingham, and people are lighting their fire in Newcastle. Eric Burden, the Animals, Eric, and everyone in London. So, what got me really interested when I was at school, at lunchtime, I would go to the local cafe, and they had a rockola jukebox in there. And I just used to put the coin in a slot and listen to rock and roll music of lunchtime. And these people like Gene Vincent, Little Richard, Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, and one day I was thinking about it. I thought, what is it that actually turns me on to rock and roll? Is it music, guitar, singer, whatever? And they all were American guys, were massive icons, which English people couldn't do. We couldn't do that iconic thing. But what I listened to turned me on was the left-hand side of the piano, the boogie parts of Fats Domino, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis. And I realized it was the energy coming out of that 12-inch speaker that was, to me, rock and roll. And so when I got a guitar and I learned all the chords, I concentrated on learning all of the boogie parts on the bottom four strings of the guitar. And that progressed to me buying a bass and falling in love with bass.
What was your first bass? Did you get something cool like a P-Bass or a jazz bass, or was it just something like a K or something?
The first bass I bought was a solid bass called a tuxedo bass. I have no idea where it was made, but it's a solid piece of wood. And but I served my apprenticeship on that, and then I bought a Hofner President bass, which is semi-acoustic bass, blonde, very nice. Didn't last long though, because one day the bass I wanted was a precision bass, and I went to my local music store one Saturday morning, as all budding musicians used to do, and there in the window it said, direct from the USA, Precision Sunburst Fender bass.
What year was that bass?
1959.
Oh, so the first year of the Rosewood. Awesome.
So, and that bass has played at nearly every Moody Blues record I've ever recorded.
Wow.
And my new single, The Sun Will Shine, that's my precision bass from when I was like 15.
Wow. Original pickups and paint and everything still?
Yeah, absolutely all original. New strings.
Oh, yeah. Man, that is incredible. Do you got that thing laying around there?
Oh, I played it all the while.
Oh,
All the while.
I love it, man. I love that. So did you just go one bass your entire time, or did you go through a phase where you're like, I want to try something different?
I've tried so many basses, the limbic basses, Gibson basses, everything. But my precision bass seems to play it on its own. I pick it up, start playing, and it just goes. It's wonderful. And but on stage, I use a custom-made jazz bass. It's a reproduction 62 jazz bass, but with a longer neck. It's got extended neck and active pickups. And the Fender custom shop made that for me.
Wow. So what made you choose to on stage go with a jazz bass instead of the P-Bass?
Because it's active. The jazz bass, all active pickups, and also the neck is, in a way, it's faster than the precision bass. The precision bass is what it says. It's precision. It makes every note right. And the jazz bass, you can fly across the fretboard.
Now, once you get into the Moody Blues, like I guess it's 1966, that's the year I'm born, and you start to write songs. Were you writing songs before you were in the Moody Blues, or do you get in there with Hayward and you guys start writing tunes? Because your run of songwriting was mind-boggling.
I started writing little poems when I was really kid, when I was really small. Strange little poems, I remember. But Gene Vincent came to England and he wanted to have blue caps, English blue caps. So I wrote a song for him in like 1962 or when it was. Yeah, I wrote a few songs, but never had never had the opportunity to go into the studio to record them, because getting into the studio in those days was impossible. So you'd write a song, play for yourself, enjoy it, and when the opportunity came, for me it was like the floodgates opening. I saw a studio and think, yes, come on, let's do it.
It's so amazing to think about the sound that you guys had. It's unreal. It's really psychedelic. It seems like something that would be in every Tarantino film as a soundtrack song. It has this complete organic, definitely LSD drug vibe to me of those first few albums, man. When you were in the studio, how were you guys achieving that sound? Were you experimenting, trying to get this cool psychedelic sound? I mean, of course, you got the Mellotron, and that's a big part of it. But how were you guys doing that? Because when you're writing these songs, you're just in a studio, your rehearsal room. It's not going to sound like what it became, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But we were always looking for a different way to put the song over. You start with a basic song and you think, how can I put this song in like chapters so it moves all the while, just like a story? Because for me, that was important musically and lyrically, that every song should have a little story somehow. And the story may be something in your mind, or it may be something you visualize, but it's got to move you. You can't write "I love you" and "she loves me" and "everybody loves everybody else." For me, we had to write the blues, English blues, about us growing up, about experiences, that's from the lyric point of view. From the melody and the makeup of the songs, we was always looking, hey, everyone would expect you on this song to go this way. We're not going this way. We're going the other way. And lateral thinking, that's what you used to say to each other. Think laterally.
Who was producing these records at the time? Were they pretty hip also on how to experiment? I mean, everybody was starting to do stuff like turning tapes around. Hendrix had the fuzz pedals and all this, Waz and psychedelia, of course, the Beatles and Pet Sounds and all that. But how were you guys achieving this? Was there somebody in the studio that was a wizard?
Well, we got a great guy called Tony Clark who what was important for us, whoever came into an inner circle had to be one of us. It had to be the same thought pattern as us. We didn't want anyone involved with us who wasn't like-minded. And Tony was great because he was into astronomy and telescopes looking at the moon, and we were doing that as well. And we're thinking about traveling in space. So all this combined. And we also had a fantastic engineer who had been trained by Decca called Derek Varnels. He was a master of getting the sound right. And we learned everything from Decca Records, really. The technicians there, they always said to us, whatever you record, remember, 20 years down the line, you got to hear this again. You got to make sure it's right at the time. And we never knew 50 years down the line.
When you guys record the first, Days of the Future Past, let's say, and you get out and all of a sudden you've got some hits going and you're out on tour. What were some of those early tours like? Were you out there achieving the sound of the record, or were you guys frustrated with shoddy PAs and everything? Were you trying to get that? Because it's such a sound.
Well, when we first went into America, we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for, and we played everywhere. We started at the Fillmore East and finished up at the Fillmore West and the Shrine Auditorium, Cow Palace and
Cow Palace.
Yeah, well, but we played all psychedelic underground clubs as well, all across America. But we realized when we went for the second tour, we'd have to have a PA to try and get the sound exactly what we wanted. And we met a guy in Cleveland, and we built a really first PA, which was fantastic. Then a year later, we met a guy called Gene Clare, and Gene Clare became Clare Brothers, the greatest sound system ever in the world. And Gene started with us, and he built systems for us. We did a tour of Japan in 1973, and he built the first ever hanging portable PA system for us to go to Japan. And from that, they built all the hanging PAs after that, because before then, everything stood on the stage.
Wow. So he was the first one to fly sound over the band?
Gene Clare, wonderful, wonderful man. He used to drive the truck with his sound equipment in, and also you set it up with a couple of stage hands, and he would do the sound monitoring as well.
Unbelievable, man. That is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you remember of the Cow Palace? You guys were headlining that?
Probably not. No, probably. We did a lot of tours with Jefferson. The biggest tour we would have at the time was with Canned Heat. We did two tours with Canned Heat, and we became good buddies, at the time. Yeah, the owl and everyone. Yeah, we've travelled everywhere together. Good band, lovely band.
I mean, some of these songs that you wrote, it's crazy. I mean, they are just radio staples, man. I mean, I'm just a singer in a rock and roll band. Ride a Seesaw. I mean, these things are all over the radio every day, man. It's unreal. Did you guys have a good deal back then, or
nobody
no?
had. I mean, even now, there's no good deals for musicians and songwriters. What with streaming, 800 billion hits, and you got change for a $10 gift voucher.
God, it's unreal, right?
Yeah, it's music.
Yeah, that's a good outlook on it. It's music.
Yeah,
We all know what it is, and if you try to think it's going to be different for you, you're crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't ever think you could buck the system. Everybody comes up to me with, "Hey, John, you've been give me some help, advice." And I say, "Don't buck the system. You'll become so frustrated. Just get on with the music and enjoy your life."
Yeah. Just know you might need a second gig and enjoy the music part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so great, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on that? I know there's it's an extreme polarizing position between musicians. Some people are like, and the other people love it once they're in. I find that most people hate it until they're in,
If I, coming from England, I wasn't too sure what it really meant, but it came to me when on the stage accepting the award, because I never write a script down where they said, "What you're going to say?" And I said, "I don't know what I'm going to say. It's in the moment, You just have to accept what I say." And when I was standing there, listening to all the accolades and all that, I was thinking, actually, this is for all the fans of the Moody Blues. We just made the music, and they made it happen for us. And that's why I said, it's for everyone out there in the world. But from a personal point of view, my hero was Buddy Holly. And I thought, hang on around, I'm standing next to Buddy Holly now. This is kid from Birmingham, England, standing next to Buddy Holly in the Hall of Fame. How good is that? And that's when the realization hit me.
Do you remember where you were the day Buddy Holly died?
Yeah, at my home in England. My mother came running up knocking on my bedroom door with a newspaper, and said, "Yeah, I saw Buddy Holly live in Birmingham, so that's cool for me."
Whoa, so you did?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so little kids in the circle in the theatre, looking down on the stage on Buddy Holly.
How many songs did Buddy Holly play?
Oh, he probably played about 20 minutes, because in those days, that's all everyone wanted, because there's 4 other acts on the program, But I went for Buddy Holly, and that's, total hero. I've got a room full of tape of Buddy Holly interview, everything. But because he was a guy that showed the way forward, because he wasn't one of these iconic Elvis Presley type, Jerry Lee Lewis, Gene Vince. Buddy Holly wears glasses on, bow tie, black suit, and I realized, it was about the music, and that's what turned me on completely, the music, and that's what lit my fire.
And that's what the Moody Blues is about. It's about the music. There's no fire or bombs or
Right.
any kind of gimmicks. It was straight up songwriting. It was great songwriting. And that's why we're here today, all these years later, because of these incredible songs. And that's why you're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I can't thank you enough for talking to me. And I hope that you get back out on the road here now that COVID is kind of maybe around the corner, hopefully. And it was an honor to talk to you. And your songs are incredible.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the interview, and stay safe there in Los Angeles.
Thank you so much, John. Great to see you, man.
Take care.
See you, buddy.